welcome to those of us who are joining on Facebook Live. This is the Artist Speaker Series, where we bring in professionals who will share their ideas and experiences to help you with business and professional development. It is every second Tuesday, ending the session with our session in May of this year, 2026. There are some thank yous that I'd like to share. That's first off to Rayfield Modern for the use of this space. Secondly, we've got the Sioux Falls Arts Council for their fiscal sponsorship. And then we have donors both in kind and monetary, and the Sioux Falls Area Community Foundation for past support. Tonight, we will be covering pricing for artists, and Mel Cotton is here to provide insight and finding the balance between passion and profit. Mel is the owner of Rose and Eugene Presents, a contemporary art gallery and gift shop here in downtown Sioux Falls, or near downtown in the Nordic Hall. If you haven't been, I highly recommend. Her shop is located in the Nordic Hall, which is also house to some other artsy and eclectic businesses. Before Rose and Eugene Presents, Mel played a pivotal role managing marketing and purchasing for a distinguished American craft gallery, collaborating with high craft artisans from all over. She has background in studio arts and printmaking, so I'm excited to hear her insight into pricing with an artist and art lover's perspective.
Yay! Well, she did most of the work for me, so here's my first slide. And just to elaborate a little more on my background, so like Alex said, my previous 15 plus years has been in American craft and fine art. So that's high craft, things like pottery, stained glass, sand-casted jewelry, 2D artworks, etc. And I worked most heavily on the retail aspect, the retail side of the business, but I also had a great deal to do with the wholesale side of the business, which was a hand-finished, hand-fabricated product as well. So I am excited to be able to share that experience and expertise with you. The way I've broken this up, I have little chunks, maybe 5, 6, I don't know how many little chunks. And we'll know when a chunk is finished because we'll get to a quote slide that has a blue screen. And we're going to break this into little micro discussions. So when we hit that quote slide, then we'll know it's Q&A time. And we can kind of just discuss because there is a big breadth of creativity in this space. And everyone has its own little niche. So if you are curious about those little microcosms, I'll do my best to answer. I can't say that I have experience in all of them, but I'll see what I can do. So I'm just going to get into it. The big takeaways tonight are that pricing is not arbitrary. Pricing is informed, pricing is relational, and pricing is a trust signal between you and your customer and you and your sales representatives or your galleries. And it starts first with knowing your market. So there are 3 areas we're going to touch on tonight. Your local market, which would be Sioux Falls or southeastern South Dakota or the tri-state corner here. Your online market and your market concerning your media and your style. So in the local market, this is going to be very reflective, and I do have some information I will pass on to you after the talk tonight, but everything that I'm going to post to you is going to be in live form, and you're just going to think about how this pertains to you and your particular style. So in the local market, things to consider, things to ask yourself are what do people actually spend on art here where we live? So that is really touring the galleries and the art spaces here. Oh, sorry. You're fine. This good?
Yeah, if you try me that closer to you, maybe?
Sure.
I'm going to run around and try it.
Sometimes it's finicky.
It's all good. Or maybe if Alex might work, maybe I can trade her too. I don't know if this guy's just low on battery. Maybe.
Alex is checking back there. She went behind a wall so she can hear you.
Testing.
Is there a green light on it? No.
There was one on Alex's. I didn't see the one on that one. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Yep.
It is, okay, thank you.
It's got such a lag for me here, so. Yeah, I think it's catching Hannah and not you. Yeah, it's catching Hannah and everybody else and not you.
Sure. Test, test, test. Can you hear me? Oh, sweet.
That's working out. Thanks,
Yay. It's good. I try to like talk all at once without breathing, and so I needed that. That was amazing. Yes. Oh. Okay, so we'll just go from the top. So local market, what do people actually spend on art where we live? So tour galleries, tour art spaces, look at price tags, and compare price to size to medium. All of that matters. Are they buying originals? Are they buying giftable art? Are they buying experiences? Or are these buyers, are they true collectors and they're collecting status? Those are also things to consider. Are the purchases emotional, functional, or aspirational?
What do you mean by aspirational?
So I would say, well, let's hold all of the questions till the blue quote slide. Online markets. Who are you competing with digitally? So is your competition, and I would also like to say, consider this almost like a Venn diagram. There are going to be moments of overlap. There are going to be things that don't relate to you at all. So you really have to be honest with yourself when you're considering these things, because that's going to help you narrow your market. Is your competition a professional gallery? Are they showing work on, if the work is the same stylistically, I would say, and medium? Are they showing pieces on their website? Are they selling through their website? Are you competing with emerging artists on Instagram, crafters on Etsy, or mass-produced home goods? There are things that I would say for each of these, if you're making notes and you're like sectioning these areas off into quadrants, you should have a list of places that relate to your artwork. So doing a lot of Google searching. If you make steampunk illustrations, I would look locally, I would look across the country, I would look on Etsy for things just like that. Find galleries that are displaying those artworks, find online sites that are displaying those artworks, and learn about that pricing. Genre and style. So this is just saying, we're not getting too much into style at this point, but for the most part, know that your artwork, an illustration is not the same as fine art, is not the same as functional craft, is not the same as decor. A 2D illustration is going to be priced differently than an oil painting, even if they're the same size. So understand that. And the fact that buyers bring different expectations and price logic depending on the category of art that they're purchasing. So if you're selling a ceramic vase versus a non-functional ceramic piece, the buyer is going to see that in a different perspective, and one is going to be more valuable than the other to them. Misalignment here often leads to frustration, but it's not failure. So the right price is rarely what feels fair. It's what makes sense to the people that you're selling to. So now it's question time. And we can go back and forth between slides also.
Well, so actually, my question was, what is an aspirational? What is that?
Sure. We can kind of go through all of this. So I'll say in my Rose and Eugene experience, I have folks, we'll start with emotional. I have folks that come in and they purchase something not knowing they're going to purchase something. It's a spontaneous purchase and it's based on their past experiences. They see a piece, it speaks to them or to a moment in their life, they're drawn to it and they take it. They just want it. Functional, that's your basic mugs, plates, dinnerware, vases. Aspirational, those are going to be, I would say, more conceptual in nature. Those are for people who have space built for their art collections. Yes. What do you think? Anything else we want to touch on in this section? It's good for me again, because I try to seriously say everything in one breath.
Do you have any tips, I guess? Like, I try to research local and regional to look for art styles that are like mine and stuff, but then, like, my paintings are very different from my coloring books.
Yes.
And maybe I'm just supposed to be spread.
No, that is a great question, because my experience, actually, that's super defining, so thank you. I am speaking mainly to artists that are creating original works at this moment. However, when we get into pricing structure, that can be for any part of that. I have worked with really successful fine artists in the past who were able to license and reproduce their works to a national and global audience. And the structure is very much the same, just a different scale. Yes. No, that's its own talk. Because you're looking at textiles, right? You kind of grow into it, I would say. If you are still developing your body of work and your catalog, that would be a more in-depth conversation. I'm not super prepared for that one tonight. Yes. And I'm usually on the other side. So I'm taking on what do I want to say? I'm the one licensing the work typically. And I wouldn't consider licensing until I see a good collection put together.
Will you break down the different types of people that are like have the expectations to purchase the art?
Sure.
Like, different like firms, like there's just the different people that make up those expectations.
Sure. Oh my gosh, that is broad. And just speaking in broad strokes, you have different types of consumers. You have I want to purchase a print to spruce up my living room or dorm room or office, to consumers that have higher their taste expectations or their taste for fine things is a little higher, but they're not exactly collector level. They just know they want something original. You have collectors who they search out the bizarre and unusual and they expect a really substantial price tag and they seek it out. On the commercial side, that's an area I don't have a lot of experience in.
It's kind of like find your niche and like
yes,
really research what they're
100%. You have to and be like make lists, and narrow down as much as you can. The narrower that market list gets, the sooner you're going to find your target audience.
Can you say a list of?
I would say everything, like all of the things, and I'm going to share some spreadsheets with you.
About expectations, right?
Um,
List of-
I'm going to share, expectations are hard. Everybody's a little bit different. And I think that through your research, you're going to learn more about what your customer wants.
Not learn the expectations, learn the customer.
Yes. Yep. And I would say for if you're looking at getting into firms and that kind of thing, it might be in your benefit to talk to, maybe your customer is actually an art consultant and not a person. They work with people who are trying to build collections. Yeah, like legacy collections.
These slides be available.
Yeah, I can make them available. He will make them, Les will make them available. Are you guys ready? We're there? Okay, materials and labor, the non-negotiables. And I'm sure you have all been in this boat. This is where I see artists struggle the most, price themselves right out of business. So the big takeaway here is you need to track everything. It's tedious, but you have to do it. Have an ongoing, I like using Google Sheets. I just have a Google Sheet. Every single purchase I buy is itemized on that Google Sheet. I could roughly tell you how much, like for classes, I could tell you roughly how much paint I use per class per student. And it's all broken down. And it's an important part of, you have to know how much you're spending. I think a lot of us, we go by our guts and we think, oh, it wasn't that much. I spent $2 on supplies. I spent, $10 or $20 on a canvas. And it adds up so quickly, more quickly than you think. So track it. And let's go down to consumables. When it comes to consumables, do your best. I know it's not a perfect science, but do your best to say, this is how much I can get out of a tube of paint. Because you're going to divide that by the number of pieces you're making with that one tube of paint. Some are easier than others. I'm really sorry. Pottery, chunk it out. You can weigh it. You can do whatever you want. But do your best. Get a timer out and just keep revising that spreadsheet. Labor. Your time is worth something. It's not neutral. You have to pay yourself. And these are things you should ask yourself. How long does it actually take me to make something? How long did it take me to learn this thing well? Am I still learning? Am I executing at an expert level? And this is something to keep in mind as you're researching your market too, because you're going to see a lot of folks making maybe something similar to you, but what level of expertise are they producing at? You can't take a single product and say, this artist is doing this exact same thing with the exact same medium. This is $500 versus this one's doing it at $40. I'm guessing that the artist making it at $40 is pretty fresh in their career and they're doing the pricing themselves to the bottom right here. All right. Okay, I didn't have a quote, but, well, this is still going. I have a system, I'm not sticking to it. Original artworks, making the math. So one approach to this, and this is where we might start to get into the weeds a little bit. I'll do my best to stay on track, and we can, again, there's a quote section and we'll ask questions later. One way to pay yourself, and when I say pay yourself, I'm saying you set an amount, it could be hourly, whatever it is, but you set that amount and it's in addition to your supplies. Set a fixed price per size after your materials. Price within what your market can currently sustain, And as sales increase and demand outpaces your capacity, raise your prices. So even if you're just starting, even if you have to pay yourself minimum wage to start with to get your work out into the world, that's the direction you want to go, and then slowly build. When this happens, two things occur. As your price is rising, your customer base refines. Your audience gets narrower and narrower, and your workload decreases. You're able to produce fewer pieces with more value. And kind of back to that last side, the perceived value of your work also increases. When a customer sees your work go up, they instantly think this work is valuable and it's getting more valuable. If you price too high and you have to bring your prices down, that sends a completely different perspective. That makes them think that it's less valuable. Your customer is not paying for your practice time. They're paying for the moment that you can think fluidly in the language of your art. Questions?
I'm not in the middle. I don't go down and count myself the base. I commission. This is my base. That's it.
Yep, stick to it.
I have upfront deposit. You got skin in the game. I got skin in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
Yeah.
However, is there a point of, you collect a bunch of, let's say, my drawings and stuff that just sitting there?
Yes.
Is it appropriate to either put them in a print or have like a blowout sale, take to your customers and say, hey, I'm having this?
Absolutely. I think
Without devaluing your
yes.
piece.
I think it depends on how you frame it, and I think it depends on your market. I'm not saying don't ever reduce your prices, because there are times like that when you say, this is a big deal, I'm a professional artist, my work doesn't ever go on sale. But right now, for this very special reason, it's available to you.
Would you recommend just doing some prints too? I don't like to just do it if I can.
Sure. And you're saying this is with your work that has sold quickly. Yep.
Sometimes my buyers, when they buy an original, I say there's going to be a print.
Absolutely.
That raises the price.
Yep.
They don't want to hear there's 100 copies out there. They just spent hundreds of dollars.
And I think, again, it all goes, absolutely. I think it just really depends on your market. I would say the artists in the gallery above us, they are top tier. They exhibit internationally. You're not going to find a print of theirs. And if you do, there's going to be, do you guys know who C.J. Hendry is? She's a realist artist also. And she does novelty prints and gifts, but they increase demand. Like maybe there are 40, and if you're one of the purchasers, you get an original. If it's like a golden ticket situation. So that's like the upper echelon. Or you're not doing it at all. In the mid-range, I work with artists who sell their paintings for maybe thousands of dollars, and they produce prints to make it affordable for everyone. And that's 100% acceptable. That's a range where I don't think the collector is going to have an issue, and it doesn't devalue the original. So it just, yes. They're making it accessible, and they also have a collector who appreciates the work. So it really, know your market again. It's all about knowing that market.
I have a question about you're talking about raising your prices over time. So as you're like selling out, needing that help, I guess I'm trying to translate it to my classes where I'm like, sometimes I've got sold out classes because I really hit the nail on the head that month, and then the next month I've got a couple that
I would say when it's consistent. When you can't keep up with demand consistently, you know you're ready to give yourself a raise. You're welcome. Yep. Or you can, I suppose, I don't want to give like off the cuff advice. I'm trying to think about it. But I suppose if you wanted to reduce your class size and sell them out, I don't, that, but also that's a whole math equation that you have to run through.
No, I like that though. That's, you said that the raising your value and decreasing your time.
Yep. But it's all about like that supply and demand. You really have to ride that line and make sure you're hitting that button at the right time. Yes. No, I don't believe so. But again, it depends on your market and who you're selling to. Yep. Yep. And you have to think about it. So when we go back to market, each of you has more than one market. You belong to, honestly, it could be hundreds if you really break down your work. And a fine art gallery is going to sell your fine art. A gift gallery or like a hybrid gallery, gift shop, museum gift shop, they're going to sell the prints. They're two different markets. I'm so sorry. There's always.
I was just going to say, being graphic designers, we kind of have different things we pay for. Like there's a computer, there's a program we pay for, so it's like I can understand putting that into the equation, and like our year's experience and things like that. So it's like that one, I think both Sonia and I kind of struggle with, like how we charge that appropriately. Like she's full time with it, I'm part time, so I'm just having a great time. Dilly dally. So like this question, like I think it's always been a struggle to figure out how much we charge. We look at like marketing agencies charge, and then like the return on investment there. So it's like trying to keep that in mind. So
absolutely.
Just if you have any advice for a graphic designer, where you're not making fine art all the time per se, but you know, like Tanya wants to be making like illustration prints.
Yes.
Like, I'm interested in that activity as well.
Yes.
But it's just like the day to day is making business cards for people.
Yes.
So how do we work within that realm?
And I would say you almost have to treat it like you're licensing to yourself. So you have, and part of it is experience and time. How many of these prints am I going to sell in a year? How many am I going to sell in 10 years? And that just comes with lots of data collection, lots of sales. But that piece, depending on how many prints you plan on selling, you're going to get so much over the long term. So is that helpful? A bit?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we just kind of have, we're in a weird industry.
Yes.
Like, we're literally like commercialized. So it's like how do we, like,
well, and again, all about your imagery and your materials and the audience that you're trying to hone. What type of paper is your print on? How is it packaged and presented? It all matters. So if you're trying to achieve that higher price point, even for digital illustration, which in the contemporary world is art, like that is an original art, piece of art, like you are making an original drawing. You need a more premium material. You're welcome. Experience matters, moving past imposter syndrome. And this is a little bit of a repeat from some previous slides. So years of repetition and also understanding your worth. Years of be able to do something quickly. Speed does not lower value, it increases it. and it's a sign of expertise. Consistency is a sign of mastery, not sameness. If it takes you less time now, that's not a reason to charge less. It's evidence that you're worth more. So I'm going to move, just keep going. Now this is where another area, in addition to materials and labor and underpricing, this is another area I think artists feel guilt with, and they should not. Markups are structure, they are not greed. And I would also like to say, when we're talking about this, I have it broken down in two separate clumps here, because you are doing two separate jobs. Creation of the work is one job. Making the work is one job. Marketing and selling the work is a completely different job. And you need to be paid for both efforts. So materials and labor, that equals, if you're talking to a gift gallery or you're looking to sell prints, the term is wholesale. Your raw materials times 2, roughly, that is your wholesale price. Your retail, and this does not matter if you are selling your work or if somebody else is selling your work. They're going to take that wholesale and mark it up times 2 or more, depending on their location and the type of product that they sell. And that needs to be consistent. Again, whether you're selling it or someone else is selling it. And why this matters. This allows room for galleries, for shops, and for collaborators. If you don't do that second markup, you're going to lose sales reps. You're going to miss out on that opportunity. You're going to miss out on gallery representation. And you're going to miss out on retail, shop, brick and mortar representation. And it protects you from racing to the bottom. You're getting paid for all of the time that you're putting in. And it creates pricing consistency across platforms. If your pricing cannot survive wholesale pricing, it's not sustainable. Questions?
So, I'm a photographer, so all I do is prints.
Sure.
But, and by the way, I want to echo what you said, that presentation matters so much. Difference between luster photo paper and a Canson rag photography is completely,
Both are saleable. Right. Both can belong to two different markets. Sure. Right. But yes, one is going to be perceived as more valuable. Right.
So, but in terms of the pricing, when I'm actually going to deal with local shops now, but I used to send a lot of stuff to Pay Photo and a certain price, and then their default is you can pick a multiplier. So whatever they charge you, you can charge 3 or 4 times that. And it never made a lot of sense to me because they have prints that are $350, and I'm not going to charge $10 or something, or $12 or something, right? And then if it's a metal print for $80, I'm not going to sell that for $300. So what I try to do is to simply have a fixed number that, as the photography's done and I've counted how much what I want per print. I take that number and I just add basically the cost of producing it plus maybe a little extra, maybe if there's labor involved in framing or whatever.
I would say no.
No?
No.
No?
That's a no. Yes, pay for your time. You get a good check, a little happy star. Yeah. But when it comes to your raw cost, should always be doubled. If you're paying $10 for that print, then you're selling it to a retailer for $20, and then they're going to sell it for $40. Gotcha. You're welcome. Yes.
Can you restate the question? What was asked? Just
Oh.
people online.
Sure, I will totally try. I have a Swiss cheese brain, so halfway through, if I don't just like pounce on it, it's like half gone. I'm ready. Sure. So just generally speaking, again, if you're in San Francisco, this is different than here in South Dakota. But if you pay $10 for paint, canvas, all of that good stuff, you say, okay, for this piece, we'll start with that. So if you're paying $10 in material, that's your raw cost. You need to double that to get to wholesale, along with your time. So you would sell it at wholesale for $20 plus whatever you've decided your wage for that piece should be. And then if you're putting it on your website, you're going to double that cost. And that's what the consumer is going to pay. The collector is going to pay. 100% always sell it for retail. Yep. Because again, the retail markup is going to cover you adding it to your website. It's going to cover you sharing it in newsletters, the time it takes you to do that. It's going to cover maybe if you're running Facebook ads, it's going to be taken out of that chunk. Your time is valuable at all levels.
I'm going to start giving the microphone to people just to make sure that people can hear.
Back to my base pay. I don't feel bad someone walking away from me because that's my stance. It's shocking. Some people think it's for free. Whatever, but
that's not your market. Those aren't your people.
So when you said retail, that's a negotiation tool with somebody like that.
It could be.
I don't, I don't go really cheap, but 9 times out of 10, they're shopping. They're price shopping. They'll either contact me again or try to negotiate. I had a single mom who was doing a piece for her son's dog had passed away. It's usually memorials that I do. But anyway, I let her do a payment plan.
Oh, yeah. Any way you want to work it.
As long as you put that deposit down.
Yep.
So is that?
I don't see anything wrong with that. No, and if it works for your market, it works for your market. That's great. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. You do email, you do anything that you can use as proof that this is our deal, this is what we hashed out. Pricing, timeline, deadline, because it was a gift for a birthday and you meet those deadlines or before that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Make it warm and friendly, but don't leave out anything.
Don't compromise yourself or your ethics or anything.
Yes.
And it's hard.
Yes.
It's hard to watch them walk away.
But again, if you know your market, you're okay with it. Because you can say it's not for you.
So learning your market has to do with what you observe over time, or what
It's a lot of research and it's a lot of experience.
What you observe that people like of what you do.
Well, I think it starts with understanding your existing market, because whether you know it or not, you belong to markets. You might not be aware of them, but your work belongs to different markets.
Depending on where you have your work.
Depending on where you have your work, depending on your medium, depending on your scale, those are all different markets. Sure. 2D versus 3D. If you're a floral painter versus somebody who likes anime, those are all different markets, and you have to know all of the ins and outs. Okay, that's overwhelming. You don't have to know all the ins and outs for all of those.
Right.
Intense.
But I see what you're saying.
So is that like in the form of like web search, pretty much? Or like
I would say in person, if you're traveling, check out galleries. Online is the easiest. And you can really drill down. And I'd say do broad searches, do really specific searches, like the closest you can get to what you're doing.
Question.
with what I do, that whole process seems to make sense to me as far as your originals. But now when you get into your prints, my majority of my business, I love selling my originals. I cry every single time I hate parting with them. But the prints are where you make your money. I go to shows all the time and kind of would like to get out of that and get pieces into more of the stores and retail. But I find the pricing just to be really hard to figure out because I'm doing kind of that formula and I feel comfortable with what I sell my framed prints for. I embellish them and they're framed, they're beautiful, something very unique. And you sell them, but then you go to, today we just went to a place and talked to somebody and they wanted, well, 50%. Well, to me, she's making the money and I'm putting those prints together and just kind of giving it to her. So is going wholesale, so to speak, or commission, is that something that you have to make that decision that you're not going to make money from it and just keep doing what you're doing otherwise? Is there a different pay scale? Because I can't be selling at my shows $50 for my print and then have it in the store and try to mark the price up because she's going to take so much.
Right. So, and this, we're going to get into that a little bit more going forward, but it's really about having consistent pricing throughout all of your spaces, online, brick and mortar, at a market. It needs to be consistent in order to build your reputation and develop a trust between you and your customers. And that wholesale portion is how you pay yourself as the artist. And that's how you cover your material costs and your working costs and your labor. That second markup, that is you marketing those pieces, or a gallery getting a commission, or a retail shop purchasing at that wholesale price so they can mark up. So your end product is always going to be that retail price.
So if I would decide that I was going to go wholesale or commission, then I'm going to need to raise my price
It depends.
Then for what I'm selling at my shows. And
it depends on your current pricing structure. So again, it's, and I'll share some equations with you and some worksheets, but it's your raw materials. And then from your raw materials, you're going to add whatever you think whatever your time it's worth for that piece. And that is what you sell, that times 2. That's what you're going to sell to a gallery. That's not ever going to be what a customer gets. When that's multiplied again, that is what every customer is going to pay. Does that make sense to everybody?
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
I was under the impression, like, for example, like Art Collective is one of these things happens twice a year.
Yep.
So like, and they don't take anything. So like, if you sell it for lower, then the way I was sort of justifying it, as opposed to the same piece at the gallery, is that, well, this is a limited opportunity. You know, you can get it at the gallery any time or in a store or whatever. But it's okay. You know, like it's okay if I charge less here because. You know, but I don't know if that's valid, because the way what you're saying is you always charge the retail price.
Always, because that's going to establish if you want to be part of a gallery, if you want to sell to a gift shop, you have to be partners.
That's right.
You have to be partners. You can't be competing with one another, or they're not going to want to represent you. You have to know that you're on the same team, and that end goal is selling as much of your work as they can and getting it out the door.
Thank you. And I have one thing that I've been trying to think about. So I participate in art collection whenever I can.
Yeah.
And so in the beginning, I was selling, you know, framed and mounted and also like loose prints. And I was getting frustrated because people would look at something framed or mounted and really want to get it. And then they're like, oh, well, I can get the same thing as a loose print. So then I, you know, I make $10 instead of 40 or 50. And so I stopped doing that because like I was basically undercutting myself.
Yes. Yep.
And that makes sense.
Don't be in competition with
right.
yourself or,
right. Okay.
or your representation. know, it's really hard because there are so many different aesthetics. If you're selling prints, again, it's all about knowing your market. Because not the frame could be the reason it sells, or it could be the reason that someone doesn't pick it up. So you just have to be really strategic about it. Ready? Okay. And this is really the point that we're driving home, is pricing consistency equals trust. I could have probably lumped this all into one little thing. So same item, same price, no matter what channel it's on. Undercutting yourself erodes confidence, and buyers don't want to feel like they've been had. And galleries don't want to put them in that position either. So to build trust with your consumers, you want clear tiers, repeatable logic. So no matter if you're making a piece tomorrow or 3 months from now, you want to be able to replicate however you got to that price. And this, if you do this, there's not an apology language. You don't need to say I'm sorry to your customer, and you don't need to say I'm sorry to your representatives. Outcome equals happy customers and happy retailers, and happy customers and happy retailers keep buying from you. Inconsistent pricing doesn't make buyers feel lucky, it makes them hesitate, and it erodes trust. Any other, I guess that's a blue slide, so questions here? My husband's the best. He keeps reminding me to drink water.
I have a question. What would you say if you have kind of your way that you do your pricing to figure out what each piece would be, and then you're in a gallery and someone makes a comment about your prices too low or too high?
I would say if you have done your research and you feel good about the price that you've come to, and you've really narrowed your market, and you're selling in other places where you're not having that pricing issue, then that gallery is probably not your market. Okay, so sustainability is a creative practice. This finding your pricing needs to become part of your art. It is its own art. So it lets you keep making work, it reduces burnout, and it builds long-term collectors versus one-time buyers. So it is really important. It isn't the opposite of passion, it's what allows you to keep going. It keeps you in business, it supports your, whether it's a hobby or not, it's a full-time gig, whatever it is, it keeps you going. And that's what I've got for you. And here, so in order to get all of the materials to you, if you could just send me a DM on Instagram with your email addresses, I'll BCC you on, or actually I'll send you a link to a Drive file. That'll probably be the easiest.
Right. Did anybody have any questions after that piece?
Yeah, good question.
Sorry, I was trying to digest still. I'm like, I need to come close it out, but I'm not sure if I'm done.
Yes.
What about like doing commissions for people
doing commissions for people, like they want you to do like their pet, or they give you a photograph, and they want you to do a special picture, and then you get your money up. I mean, you do half of that pricing up front. Okay. So it's perfectly okay to go between you marketing types of, people that you market to, correct?
Say that again?
Well, like you can market like your work in like a gallery, and you can also market your work and doing commissions too. It doesn't have to be.
So it really depends on, again, everybody's a little different. It depends on the type of gallery, the type of retail store. I've worked with artists who you put together your own agreement or you negotiate is essentially when it comes to original work. That's what it comes down to. So some galleries, they're paying for, like for instance, Rayfeld's. They are truly amazing. They spend money on print ads, not only in Sioux Falls, but they know their market well, and they're targeting vacation spots for their consumers, and they are placing ads in magazines where their customers vacation. And when you're putting in that type of effort and that type of spend on your artist, you're going to be locked into some kind of exclusivity. But other galleries that are a little more, they're marketing your work, but maybe not to that level, they might be more flexible.
So it's kind of up to the artist. Like, let's say you have your own website, you sell some of your work that way.
Yep.
Maybe you sell some of it at an arts festival.
100%.
Yeah.
As many markets,
commissions or whatever.
Yes, as many markets as you can get into, I would say.
Right.
And
But you still should have one major market. Is what
you're
I'm
going to
hearing you
find
say.
that the cream always rises, and that's where you want to put your efforts.
Okay, that's my question.
Any other questions? Awesome.
Yes. Yep. I have a little bit of a reflective worksheet for you, and then I also have some Excel documents that just help you track your labor and your materials. And those I will put in a Drive file and share with you. So you just have to email me, or not email me, DM me at Rose and Eugene on Instagram. Yes.
And we'll put the rest of that on Facebook, so that'll come out a little bit later. Awesome. So everybody can access those at some point here. But thank you, Mel. That was fantastic. I am excited to digest.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you.
So we do want to stay in touch, like Mel was saying. So with both Mel at Rose and Eugene's and The Watering Can, you can follow The Watering Can on Facebook. Please tell your artist friends about this free opportunity. It's a great thing they can take advantage of. Page turn, because I don't memorize this, sorry. So next month, we are meeting again on February 10th, and we will have Erin Castle from the Washington Pavilion. She is doing, her session is called Upfront and Professional with an Art Curator. So that should be another fantastic one to come in and hopefully divulge a lot of helpful information. And we are good to go on the live if you want to